Jesus. I guess it's been out for a little bit because I just completely screwed up the order of me unmuting. Whoops. Because I changed scenes, then I hit record, and then I unmuted my mic. Oh boy. God, it feels like I have tomorrow off. I don't. I think it's because like tomorrow's Wednesday and I've had the last like 5 days off from school. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm based on a break, right? Go the whole week. Nope. I gotta go back tomorrow. But I did mainly want to talk about something. I don't think I'll find the tweet because I believe it was a tweet that like got me thinking, right? It was essentially along the lines of like we really should like start gatekeeping Lolly more. I feel like Menhera can fall in the same category, but because of like the perceived like negative effects it can have. But it got me thinking, and it's like I'm taking them with the best intentions, right? Like that they think it contributes to pedophilia. Like I'm thinking they're doing it in noble intentions, right? So I'm gonna take them at that. If you're just saying that like, oh, I think it's weird, then like maybe like look into it a little bit more. But I assume they're doing it because they think it contributes to pedophilia, and they want to stop that, which is noble. But I think you're looking at the wrong thing. And ultimately, like at best, it would just be a super temporary band-aid on the problem that would like affect like 3 people, or at worst it does absolutely nothing, or perhaps even makes it potentially worse. And I think that that floor is way more likely than the ceiling, because if you look at like crime rates, or like the correlation between how much the police get paid in crime, you see that there's no correlation, or sometimes even crime gets worse as the cops are funded more, as there's more police funding. Now I'm sure it's because it's an excessive amount, right? But there is at least correlation that if it gets too much, right, it can get worse. But also if you look at like drugs, alcohol during the 1920s, or even just like even kind of now, and abortion, right? You look at the stuff and it shows like these rates aren't going down when you like gatekeep this stuff, right? Because I said gatekeep, which is essentially like banning them or keeping people from seeing it, right? So I think like banning it is like essentially the same thing. So like there's already these cases many times over of drugs, of abortion being banned, right? Of prohibition and like alcohol being banned, right? And showing that people still will use this stuff and it doesn't go away. So like I think your intentions are good, right? It's just you're looking at the problem the wrong way. The problem is the person who just thinks in the first place, like who was born that way, right? That, you know, what they're doing is a good idea, right? That you know, them as saying a kid, like that's fine. And that's the main issue, right? It's not because they're looking at Lolly stuff, right? It's not necessarily them having an awakening. And in fact, I believe often they will act on their pedophilia before they even like see any like media that could like activate themselves, right? So it's not even really like you get rid of that awakening. That's the issue, right? They're already born with that. So because that's the thing with sexual desires, like you just will, you feel it. You know, I feel like you're at least subconsciously aware of it, right? So getting rid of it also doesn't really help with that. What you should do if you want to deal with pedophilia, right, is you create an environment for not only those people to find out and discover they're a pedophile, right, but also to kind of ease them in a way of like not being a douche about it, right, easing them in to saying, hey, this is very bad, don't do this, right? And I think there's also some steps you can take as well. So also giving them those resources as well to deal with it themselves. Because yeah, in the environment we live in today's society, it is not set up for like pedophiles to not be pedophiles, right? It's not set up to where they can acknowledge that they are one, right? And then also like be told, hey, that's bad, and like be able to recognize that and get the help they need. They're just not told that until basically they already did the crime, and then by that point they're already seen as like hellspawn at that point. So then it's like, well, you know, that's great. So yeah, like the problem is not like lolly stuff necessarily, and like I'm not saying like lolly stuff is good, right? Like I'm saying like banning it doesn't solve the issue is what I'm saying. Like if you're saying like, oh, lolly's the issue for it, or at least a part of it, I mean, not really, because if you think about it and how banning other stuff has shown that it doesn't really change how people use it, like that doesn't matter. What you need to do to solve pedophilia is create an environment for them to find out that they are one, and then ease them in to find help, and like not being a douche about it and saying like, hey, this is why this is bad, and giving them the resources they need to get through it, because there are ways to get it, like to make it lower. There are some treatments. I don't think it completely negates it, but it definitely makes the urge, I think, less. So yeah, you want to do that. And I think also like why the like gatekeeping or like banning thing, right? Like that seems so appealing is because you can do that on your own, right? That is something you can do on your own individually, is obviously ban someone from seeing something, right? But like, again, that doesn't solve the problem or really even help it that much. And it could potentially even make it worse, because people then like, why is this banned? And then more people will see it. Because like, yeah, it gives it a little bit of a charm. My mom even said like, her and her sisters were really gluttons for candy because they weren't allowed to have it. Same with pop. Like they would spend all their money on pop and candy because they weren't allowed to have it usually. So obviously like there's a charm to it, and so like it's much more desirable, where me and my brother aren't banned from having candy, and like I barely have it, dude. Like I almost never have candy. I think my brother, from what it sounds like from my mom, has it a lot less than how her and her sisters did. So like, yeah, you give it a little bit of like a charm to it also if you just gatekeep it or ban it. And again, I think this applies to Menheres as well. The issue is not the media they're intaking, right? Or like the fiction in itself. It's the fact that like they aren't recognizing that they are one, or like already at that point, and you need to get them into an environment where they can recognize that and then get the help they need. That's more of how you should go about it. And again, I'm not like trying to defend lolly or anything. It's just, again, that what I'm saying is a much better solution, and like long term will be a better solution than what like gatekeeping it would do. That was kind of what I was getting at. Like, yeah, you can still think it's weird, but banning it ultimately won't I think have the outcome you think it would, is the thing. So yeah. Yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to talk about. I actually thought I would go on a lot longer of a tangent, which is why I was like, oh yeah, it went 10 minutes. Yeah, that was kind of like the point I wanted to make, was that. Like, I get they probably want to do it because of noble intentions, but yeah, the solution, like, that solution is like at best a very tiny band-aid, and at worst will make no difference, or freaking make it worse. And also there's some people I think who like lolly who aren't those type of people, but just enjoy the entertainment of it. They're like entertained by it. It's the same with like NTR, which is another one I don't get. Like, people don't bring up NTR, which is just literally cheating on someone. Like, that's seen as morally wrong, right? But that doesn't get brought up in nearly as much as like lolly or like Menhera. I feel like those are under the same banner, but like I think people are like, oh yeah, no, it's like, well, I think actually what it is probably is because NTR is in Western media as well, like it's in Western entertainment, like, oh, someone cheating on someone else. Like, I think that's just in media or just in pop culture in general. So like it's not seen as weird, because I think reality TV also has like a lot of that. So I guess maybe Americans are just more desensitized to that, where the lolly and Menhera stuff, they aren't. So then they like actively call that stuff out, but it's like, no, the NTR stuff is like the same thing. You know? And I'm sure you would have, like, you make the distinction of like, oh, well, it's like fiction or like entertainment, right? That's why it's different. It's like, yeah, you can still say the same thing with lolly and Menhera. Like, it doesn't mean that they are one because they enjoy it, right? And even then, I think a lot of people who enjoy lolly, it's just like, oh, it's a cute young girl. Like, it's just how a person would typically feel about like, oh, I must protect her or something like that. It's the more wholesome one, not the pedophilia one. It's not that one. Yeah, that was the point I wanted to make. It's why it's also stupid when people say that about like VTubers. It's like, that's not what, no. If you're trying to actively stop pedophilia, what you're doing is actively making it worse. It's the same with when they did the trans people. You're just making it so when people call an actual pedophile a pedophile, it just loses like all meaning, right? People don't care about it as much. And I mean, it was right-wingers, so I'm sure they didn't care. But like, yeah, you need to be careful when you're throwing around that word, right? And make sure they actually are one. You can't just like be throwing it out all willy-nilly out there, you know? It just makes it worse. Yeah. That's how I felt about that. I just wanted to get that out there because I was just thinking about that. I think it was like 3 days ago that tweet happened or something. Yeah. I mean, also I feel like it's like kind of common of a tweet, so like I feel like it could be like anything. Yeah. I just wanted to kind of get that out there. Because yeah, the solution isn't banning stuff. Like, honestly, like, yeah, it is really just like you just let that stuff sit. That's really what it is. Because yeah, I think if you, like, I don't feel like it's really an awakening for a lot of them, because your sexual desires you're born that way, so you're gonna find out eventually anyway, right? Like, I don't know. I think with that specifically, like, even the whole like, oh, like, may stop people from like having an awakening, like, I don't think that's necessarily like too strong of a point. Or like, yeah, also just teach people the difference between like reality and like entertainment. I think it's the thing of like people have a hard time telling like what's a joke, what's not, what's fiction, what's real. You know, it could be that sometimes. But yeah. Oh yeah, I did also see a video on the Hololive, like the state of it. And yeah, I think it's definitely going through like a growing pain part of it. Like it's changing, but in the way of like it's getting bigger. Because yeah, a lot of them, and I didn't remember from Crony's response, I think from Fauna leaving, but she said like it's not, she doesn't think it's going in a negative direction. And yeah, she also had like a pretty bad thing pop up. Yeah, I think all of those could just be inexperienced staff or whatnot, but I do think like, yeah, if you're a Hololive fan, you should just keep doing what you're doing. Obviously don't be a douche about it when you're voicing your frustrations, but you know, just say like, hey, this seems like something to be worried about. And yeah, I think Yago does have a good track record of fixing it. He'll recognize an issue. And yeah, I think it's hard, right? Because like now they're in like a big corp stage, so now they have to worry about donors and sponsors, right? So that's why they're being more restrictive. And like they have to have these boundaries up, right? Because yeah, it won't, like, sponsors won't work with them, right? And that's kind of what they need to make some more money. So yeah, I do think they would work better under a economic system that, like, you know, they wouldn't have to worry about that, because then they would just be, yeah, how they were in like 2019 2020, what people probably really liked about them. Like they wouldn't have to put restrictions on their talents for games or anything. Like they wouldn't have to ask for perms, because there's no sponsors to appeal to, right? So like, well, unless it's like different with them where they still would have to like ask for consent, but I don't think it is that. Is it an ask for consent thing? I actually don't know, because if it is, I guess that still wouldn't change technically then, but I'm sure the process would be a lot easier. Because yeah, you just ask like, hey, can we play these games, and I'm sure they'd be like, yeah, sure. I feel like it'd be weird, like that'd be like really petty if they didn't. So yeah, I think Hololive just would have been one that they would work so much better, and I think be a really good company if they didn't have to worry about capitalist stuff. But capitalism, baby, it steals everything good from us, you know, and makes all facets of society worse and just suck, dude. Even our entertainment, baby. I think that's why, honestly, though, like YouTube and like content creation has gotten more of a foothold, because it's independent. It's not based off of like corporations and like sponsors and donors as much. I mean, YouTube itself is, right, and Twitch itself is, but like the creators themselves are not, for the most part. So yeah, I think that might be another reason why like content creation has more of a appeal compared to like other facets of media. Yeah, it just sucks. I think with Hololive though, it's way too like early to be like, oh yeah, no, they're dying, you know, like that's way too early. You should definitely wait and see at least how this year plays out. I do think it is a growing pain year, and I think it is true, like, yeah, some people are probably going to leave. There's probably more people who are going to leave. And again, I think it's going to be more on the EN side. Again, I don't think they're moving more towards idol culture, like being an idol company. I don't think that's happening. I think it's just that they're getting bigger. That's just what it is. Obviously there's gonna have to be more restrictions on that again for donors, and some people aren't gonna like that, so they're probably going to leave. But yeah, again, it sucks because, like, you know, we had no money, then there would be no reason for any of this to be put in place, and people could just hang out, and they could hire people I don't want to say hire people that like would love the job they're doing, because like I don't know them, right? But yeah, there have been a lot of like weird oopsies. And it's like, yeah, you should call out the oopsies, right? That should be called out for. Again, just don't be a douche about it. I think even Axel like kind of said like, don't be a douche about it, but like voice your frustrations, just don't be a douche about it. I mean, it's crazy, like just how adding a few extra words to like a good point you're adding or something like that just makes a point completely like null and void, because you want to call them, like you threw in a comment like, are you stupid or something like that, and then yeah, I don't care about what you're saying then, because you're a freaking douche. You're just being a freaking douche, dude. I don't care. Like there was someone who like had like a weird argument, I forget what it was about, but like then they went to someone else's comment and probably like, oh, I just had this weird like this argument with this woke person, and it's like, okay, I don't even care like what points you're making at that point. I don't care. You failed the vibe check immediately because you called someone woke unironically. Therefore you immediately failed the vibe check, and then I no longer care about your point. And it's like, yeah, sure, is it stupid? Yes, but that's also how the human brain works. Don't be a freaking douchebag. If you want, like, that's the thing too, that's so easy about the internet too. You can just keep that in your mind, right? The like, are you stupid type thing? Like, you can keep that in your mind, but type out your actual point. You know, you don't have to throw in the are you stupid part. Like, yeah, sure, that's harder in conversation because like that sometimes gets blurted out, right? But like with typing, you can blurt that out but still type in like a good point, right? Like, don't just freaking add in those freaking remarks. And I said like back, I think when I was in like that comment thread back on like that it was like a Neuro Clipper, but it was like someone else's stream that was rated. Was it Gomi? I think it was the one when Federal rated Gomi. But yeah, like, just don't be a douche, dude. Like, just make your point. Don't add in any extra like flavor to it. Just don't. Because it makes a person not want to like listen to your point at all, and you just get into a freaking argument and just back and forth, and nothing freaking productive gets done, right? So just don't be a douchebag about it. It's that simple. Yeah, I feel like you throwing those extra marks isn't like being hostile in a good way. Like voicing your frustrations is good in a hostile way. But yeah, like with that, it's no, it's not. Yeah. Yeah, also the subscriptions, and like, because I remember I posted that, yeah, those subscriptions that are on stuff now. Like, it just keeps me in this place of stagnation. And like, yeah, having like the last like 3-4 weeks off at this point. Like most days. It's like been 3 or 4 weeks off I've had. Like, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I haven't thought about it as much, but it's just like, dude, I'm going crazy with this stagnation where I'm at. And I am lucky that my mom is like supportive enough that like she'll focus her paycheck on making sure we live like on all our needs, right? So she's making it so our money is our money, right? We can put that in, invest in whatever we want, which I'm very lucky about, because that means like if I want to like learn how to sing, I can do that. There's a bunch of other stuff too, like if I want to learn like dance lessons, right, or stuff like that, I can just use my own money and do that if I can afford it. I don't have to worry about needs, right? And I feel like that's a big thing. Like I can just focus on what I want to learn. Fortunately, I still have to do like a whole college thing, even though I really want to like invest all my time in that, but yeah, it's annoying. Yeah. I mean, another thing is too, we have no idea where these next 4 years are gonna, where we're gonna end up, dude. I have no idea. Yeah, because even then, like, I feel like it's still gonna affect us for at least the next decade, probably even longer. It's probably just gonna be another person that, you know, is not a leftist that wins, or like barely a leftist, so then they do a few small things. And it's like, yeah, no, you need someone on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, man. In order to get us out of whatever this is, or what's going to happen coming up. The only saving grace is that it's probably only going to be like stuff for 2 years, probably, because they have like a very small majority in the House. Senate, I don't know. I don't think they're going to lose the Senate. I think that one's like very unlikely, especially since they won the presidency. So now you need a majority. So I don't think that's gonna happen. And then, yeah, but I think they will win the House, so that will at least stop some stuff, right? Because I don't see how people don't show out for going against this, right? Because typically, like midterms, the incumbent party always just gets a lot less people for some reason, which in my mind doesn't make any sense. I feel like in this case, yes, it should be that way, but I really don't understand it. But yeah, that's I think they're gonna lose the House. Yeah, they only have, it says 5, but really it's like 2 basically, isn't it? Like 2 or 3 if you count like difference. Like they would only need to flip like 3 seats, which, yeah, I think they will for sure do that. So yeah, I don't think they'll have to worry about it too much. I mean, there was a district that flipped Republican that was under a point, so I think that one will probably flip back, because I think Democrats are gonna have a better showing than Republicans in midterms, because they did last midterm. So and like that was with Biden as the president, so I don't know how I would see it being any less than that. Although another thing is too is that North Carolina gerrymandered their map in between this election, the last midterm, and those 3 flip seats were enough to have Republicans keep control. So that's great. You know, like we could have had a Democrat majority. I mean, it would have been a 1-seat majority, and there's probably like a bunch of right-leaning Democrats. So like honestly, it probably wouldn't matter too much, but like 1 seat, but. Because I think it will probably be a lot larger of a majority for Democrats. Because again, they're only down like 3. So I can definitely see it getting a lot bigger. I think also Justice Democrats said they're going to go more on the offensive. It's like, yes, do that, please. Please do that. Yeah, it's also a smart move to do now, because I think a lot of people this time as well have been disenfranchised. Like even more people are disenfranchised with the Democratic Party. So I think like, yeah, actually like attacking and sending those candidates that will call to their anger, right? And, you know, actually like understand what these people are going through, right? Like that's great. It's a good idea. You just have to really advertise them and get them out there. That's the main issue, especially in American politics. Like name value is really what matters the most, because people care more about like looking through grocery items than they do freaking their political candidates. Even though those are the people who will affect your grocery items. Like the cost of them. It's like, I don't understand, dude. I will say though, I feel like me being so into like politics is like made me just like realize that there's so much stuff that just ultimately doesn't really matter. Like I saw someone like getting upset about like a clipper being like false advertisement or like clickbait. Like there's sometimes when like a clipper will just like put something like ooh sus is like clickbait and then it doesn't actually happen. Or maybe not even necessarily that, but the thing that they title just doesn't happen. And it's like it's whatever, man. Like it doesn't really matter. I don't really care. Because like you then end up seeing like a bunch of other stuff. Because also people are just like, oh well this is nothing. But it's like I'm gaining something from seeing this, right? Like it's your entertainment, dude. Like it doesn't really matter, I feel like. At least to me it doesn't. Again, you just see like another part, it's like, oh that's neat. And also someone took a clip from last year of like Miko like talking about like, oh I already ran out of money in my monthly salary. And they posted it like 2 days ago. I mean, yeah, with the context of it being a year old, like, it makes a lot more sense. It is weird, though, that they posted, like, these past few days. That's so weird. Yeah. I think, though, going back to, like, the Hollow thing, I don't think it's, like, any of the negatives that are, like, necessarily true, at least for the HoloLive side. So, yeah, it seems like HoloStars just don't. Like, I think they're just always gonna be stuck in that, like, you know, the freaking, like, niche spot, right? I don't see them getting out of it, which is really sad. Because, like, even if you look at, like, more recent debuts, they're getting less and less subs, like, as they're announcing their debut as the gens go on. And I think, as someone put it with, like, I saw their Kiara video, like, Myth had the chokehold on the EN VTuber scene when they first came out, which is why, like, they freaking blew up, right? Like, they have so many people, like, have so many subs. Well, like, the rest of EN is kind of, like, a lot lower. Is because, like, yeah, and then indie, like, VShojo came along, and then, like, indie VTubing became, like, a lot more popular in the EN scene, so like people start watching those people, and obviously that means less people watch HoloLive. So yeah, that's the main thing as to why, like, you know, Myth hit, like, I think most of them hit 1 million like pretty instantly. I think Ina and Kiara took a little bit, but they're still only like a year after. I think like they still hit it faster than the rest of EN has, right? Oh no, even Kiara, which was, yeah, she still hit it in less than a year. And Kiara, I think people said, like, she had a pretty slow start. So, like, yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. They still hit it in under a year, where everybody else, like, with Promise, it took them, like, 3 years. Or, like, 2 years, basically, to get 1 million. Like, Mume was the first one. And then, yeah, with, like, Fauna, Bay, and Crony, I think was around that time, too. Took them 3 years. Fullmoco was shorter, right? So like there is still an audience in HoloLive, right? Because Fullmoco hit it. So like it's still possible, right, for people to latch on, but I think also it's because Fullmoco is so different. And like their style is so different. So like, yeah, they obviously stand out more. So like it's interesting looking at like Justice, right? And like even like Advent when they debuted, I think they had like around like 400k per channel across the board their first week. I think like Justice, it was only like 200,000. It was not that much. Okay, maybe like 300,000 for Liz. But like if I go with like Gigi, right, who had the least, because like Shiori had like 400,000. And yeah, Gigi was not like 200 to 300,000 like immediately after her debut. So like, yeah, it's getting a lot smaller. Same with Floglo too. They also like, I mean, I think also though they had like the YouTube bot thing where too many people subbed to them, so then they just lost a bunch of subs. So maybe these numbers aren't entirely accurate. It may be that like Nico actually had the lowest, but because like since that the bot didn't like recognize them and take it down, I don't know. But they're all offering over, except for Nico, like 200k. And Rihanna is still like lower 100k. So like, yeah, these debuts like aren't getting much steam, and these are for the Hololive girls, right? They're much more popular, right? Like even I think basically all of Justice is past every Holostar member. That's how low they are. Because I think Roburu is the highest with around 300,000, and I think Regis is second, and then I think like Desmond or Vesper is actually third. But yeah, like, and I think Regis he's only in like 200k. I can look at it. But yeah, I believe that's correct. Where Regis is. Regis, oh, he just hit 300k. So yeah, that's it. I'm glad that the one thing Regis is now known for is the freaking clip of him getting mad at the company. Because it was the top like 2 things. But yeah, like Regis is probably the highest of all stars except for Roburu, which I can look at. Roburu's at 330k. Yeah, he's not much higher. But like, yeah, Regis has not been streaming recently, right? Because of that thing that happened. So I'm just gonna see. Yeah, he hasn't streamed in a month. I assume he's still on vacation from that then. Yeah, even then, like he's getting maybe like 16k, but even like less than that even. That one had 4.4k. Like, yeah, these are very low numbers. And the thing is like, though, and the whole reason I was doing that is like Holostar's debut, like they're gonna get so little. Like I wanna, hopefully there's like a way I can look at it for like, I just want to see. That's Hololive. Was it this one that included All Stars? I don't think it was this one, but it might include All Stars also on this. Hey, let me just give all the Hololive girls real quick. Okay, yeah, it does include All Stars. So like, let me go to some of theirs, right? Oh no, Vesper is not the next highest. Actually, Axel's like the next highest. Yeah, Ruse has 80,000. He doesn't even have 100,000. Like Gold Bullet, he has 71,000. It's like if you take like a Holostar's debut, it's gonna be like so small. Octavio also doesn't even have 100,000. Like this is like Gen 2, I think. So like, I think Gerard only has as many as he does because of Ollie. Like, there's a whole storyline with him and Ollie, so I think that's the main reason for that. But yeah, All Stars does not have that much. Yeah, the whole point of that, and like looping back around to it, is like, I don't think they're ever gonna get out of that purgatory that they're in, of just being like neglected. Because I think that is why they're being mistreated, is because they don't make as much money. So like, I mean, they don't really need to be looked after as much. Like, or like if these problems come up, I mean, it's not gonna be that as big of a deal. Because I think even having someone who like, oh, I'll collab with like the Hololive girls, like all of them, and like across the board, even then I don't think so. So I think Roburu's done a little bit, Altair's done a little bit. It was like Aruran. Yeah, Aruran did it a little bit, and he's still like 200,000. Like, and again, sub count doesn't mean anything, right? I think you should probably be looking at their viewer counts more. But even then, I was looking at Regis, and it's very small. So like I think they're just kind of stuck in that purgatory, which sucks. But yeah, like I think they were just doomed because they're just separate from each other. I think if they merge, then like it actually would be really good for Hollow Stars. I'm not sure how good it would be for Hololive, right? And even then, there's obviously people who complain for some reason about collabing with Hollow Stars, which I don't understand because they're in the same company. But like obviously a merger would be good for Hollow Stars. I don't know if they would see as a benefit for Hololive, is the thing. Even then, like I feel like you also would have to ask the Hollow Stars themselves, right? Like if they like being in a little bubble, or like if they're being more willing to merge. Because I think it's another reason why like the people coming out in Niji, like the male talent, you know, like they're still popular, is because they were merged. Like that's how Niji did it. They merged the male and female. At least I think they did. Or maybe they did like an all-female gen, like when they debuted, their generations were all female and then all male or something. I didn't follow Niji, so I don't know. But yeah, they combine them together, right? So the males and females just would interact with each other all the time. And it's obviously different with Cover and Hololive Hollow Stars. Now they basically don't really interact unless it's in like a big event like GTA VCR. Which again, like I don't want to be like, oh yeah, no, the girls should collab with them. It's like, no. If they don't want to, or like, you know, they have anxiety about like reaching out to new people, which I think a lot of them do, then like, yeah, no, like don't do that. Because I think also even then too, like I think the collabs like Liz has been on, right? It's always been on Hollow Stars channel. I think so. Now I think when Hollow Salt was around, actually that Lethal Company that Liz was in probably had her perspective, but I think when Hollow Salt was around, Callie and Crony obviously had their perspectives. So that also would have helped. And then also they were a part of like that Worms tournament with ID as well. It's just, yeah, I think the collab circles have just gotten so big, right? So they're just not a part of it, unfortunately. So they're just kind of in their own bubble. And I think like, yeah, there's just a weird stigma against Hollow Stars and I don't understand it. Yeah, it seems like there's just a weird like anti-male thing. But I think also they're just dudes being dudes and people just don't like that. You know, I'm just like, I think they're just regular dudes, you know? For what little I've seen of them, I'm just like, I think they're just, like, it's just guy talk is what it is. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Because obviously with that too, there's like no clippers because nobody watches them. Like they'll have like a few clips, right? But obviously it's a lot less vast than Hololive. Like, for sure, like it's getting close to the point where like every Hololive talent has a dedicated clipper. But yeah, no, I don't think Hollow Stars really has that. I think they'll just have more general Hollow Stars clippers, but like that's about it. And then they're like few and far between. So yeah, it's really unfortunate. Like I think it would be super hard for them to get out of their purgatory unless it was like a merger. Which I don't even know if that would happen. Because things also they're getting bigger, right? So like obviously the merger would have probably happened when Hollow Stars EN first debuted or something like that, right? When it was smaller. And I guess technically they have merged, right? Because I think Hollow Stars was its own thing before 2019, and then it said in 2019 they merged. So actually technically they're already merged. But it still seems like they're two separate brands, so like they're not merged. It's super weird. Like they have their own separate websites, but also EN has their Twitters for both Hololive and Hollow Stars, but on YouTube they have their own channels. It's so weird. I don't understand it. I really don't. It doesn't make any sense. How this whole thing is ran. Yeah, I think it is just like a lot of them just aren't willing to reach out or something, right? Or like, you know, they have anxiety, so it's hard for them to reach out. Or like, yeah, they're satisfied with their collab circle. Like, I don't think it's them themselves, like the whole live girls are at fault, right? Like, I don't think that's it at all. I think it's just like their collab circles are so big. And also going on with the sub count thing, I mean, sub counts don't matter. But I think actually, well, I think it's an issue because they work with Twitch, like Twitch streamers, not YouTube streamers, which Hololive is. So I think it actually would benefit them probably more if they interact with Hololive than with like, as they are with like Michi, right? For like growth. I'm saying growth, not, you know, like, oh, don't collab with Michi. Like, no, I'm saying like, I'm just thinking of like ways of them getting out of purgatory, right? Because like how they are, and like I think really what it's gonna have to take is someone who actually wants to collab with Hololive girls. Because I think a lot of them are satisfied with what they're doing right now, which I don't blame them, right? That's why like I'm like, don't annoy these people. But it's like, I think if you want them to like get out of a purgatory and like be on that same level with Hololive, it's gonna have to take one member that like really wants to collab with Hololive and like actually does like reaching out and all that, right? Otherwise they're just kind of gonna hang out in their bubble. Yeah, I think it's you should wait. Like, don't force them to collab with people if they don't want to. I think Regis actually is still like been with like doing content stuff. It's just he hasn't been recording it. I'm actually curious if he's like posted at all, if he's still like if he still hasn't posted at all. Plus Happy New Year. Yeah, okay, he still posts on Twitter, but it's like very small stuff. Yeah. I will say though, I feel like Hollow Stars also is like a great example of like you know, they can collab, like Hololive can go out and collab with like anybody. But I guess it could be because they're also so small that like it's whatever, you know? Like they can just go crazy. But same with ID as well, because it's always the smallest Hololive branch. So they're also probably just like, whatever, go crazy. Like it's very possible it could be like that too, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like I think that also doesn't mean that either. Yeah, really the only thing you can do as a fan is just still voice your grievances. Again, don't be a douche about it, but voice your grievances. Because yeah, I think even Yago responded, which I didn't catch. I have not followed Yago though, but I thought one of the towns retweeted it. Because I followed all of the EN and ID girls on Twitter, so I thought one of them, or Hololive Production English. I followed that one too. I thought they would retweet it, but I don't think they did. Great. Maybe it wasn't a Twitter post then, maybe it was something else, but I feel like it would have been. I don't know. Yeah, I think they just say like, yeah, they're gonna continue to work on it and fix that stuff. And again, like, yeah, they're gonna keep screwing up. You just have to keep correcting them. That's the thing. You gotta keep voicing your grievances when something goes awry. And then, yeah, you work it out. I mean, it did seem like Altera that was like very frustrated. So I would not be surprised if his break is like a lot longer. See, I think he's been out for like about a month now, but yeah, he seemed very, very upset. So yeah, he's probably gonna take like a few months to cool off. It's like, yeah, it seems like they also have to like do their own thing. It sucks. Yeah, also the V2 rewards, like I forgot who Rhea was, and like I was like going on like, oh yeah, I don't know Rhea. And I was like, oh, it's interesting that like GG's PL was like the clip they used to like include GG's PL. But then I realized like, oh yeah, no, Rhea was the one who came with like the story and like the game for like GG's birthday. I was like, oh yeah, she did do that. Like I realized that later. I wish they did use that clip because I would have been like, oh yeah, now I know her. But I forgot like she did that until like a little later. Like I really realized I was like, oh yeah, she did do that. I do know her actually. Which yeah, it also makes sense to why she won. Because yeah, it was kind of another like hollow pick. I don't want to like, you know, like downplay it or anything, but I think Hololive fans would have recognized her. Obviously, that's the biggest pool of VTuber fans, so yeah. Yeah, I think the company's just becoming bigger. And like obviously there's gonna be some growing pains on the way. So yeah, you just have to, you know, voice your grievances on those growing pains. Oh, did they change it on this site too for... Oh yeah, they haven't put the diploma yet next to Fauna. Oh yeah, it took them like 3 days also to, on the official website, to move Fauna to alumni, which was like very surprising to me. Because I think Ame, they did like the next day, like she had the affiliate thing. Like Fauna took them like 3 days before they like finally changed. It was like, I mean, like, yeah, I like that, you know, it doesn't really matter all that much, but it's just like with the Ame one, it's like immediately afterwards. And then this one's like a few days. Yeah. I think though also like you need someone who's like a Hololive like stay into with like Holostars in order to like ease the freaking like antis or whatever who for some reason have a problem when they collab with a dude. Like I mean I'm like obviously most people wouldn't care, but like, you know, those like strong voices, right, would go away. Like vocal minority would leave, which would be nice. Yeah, I think there was some Holostars also in like a Rust thing, wasn't it? I think it was Rust. I think Toa like interactive like Axel. And there was also like an Apex tournament thing as well. It's like, yeah, big events that like cross over a lot, like yeah, that's when they interact, but like there's been very few like Hololive Holostars thing. There was one that was like Overwatch, but I think that was like a year or two ago. I think it was like actually like 2 years ago. I wish they did more like Hololive Holostar cross events. Again, they're still technically merged. And like, yeah, I think like you can even just do like a smaller scale one, right? And then like build it up. You know, because like I can understand how a few of them probably like at first would be hesitant to do it. So it's like, yeah, that's fine. Because the thing is also like if you just propel Holostars up, right? Like that's another source of income. You make more money in that field as well. If your whole point is building more IPs, like you can get a more male audience in there too. Well, I say more male, but it's like majority male, but you get what I mean. Like, you know, build up those IPs more. That's your goal. Like, yeah, I feel like you would also just want to help Pulsars too. Like, I guess I can understand from like a business point if like they're not making as much money, so like we shouldn't care as much, but I feel like you should be like putting more into it. I don't know. It's like you should make it so your IPs are as popular as possible. You know? Yeah, I don't know, man. It was also the wrong time to get back into EU4 because I have to go back to school tomorrow. No, I just want to play EU4. God dang it. Like, what's so frustrating about this year too is just like not doing anything at school, man. Or at least like anything that like will be useful to me. Well, actually, I guess psychology or like sociology, like that's interesting. That's like it though. And like when I was doing Holocaust, now we're just watching Schindler's List, which I think is like basically the last thing we're doing. So it's like basically over. So it's like, yeah, there's like nothing. I'm not there for anything really. Well, that'll be followed by sociology. But again, like, I'm basically there for that. I'm basically there for that would like be interesting to me, psychology and sociology, and then Holocaust. That was it. The rest of this year is like meaningless to me. So like basically for like 40 minutes of the day, like, oh, it's neat, and then after that, it's like actually like hour and a half because it's like 2 periods. It's like hour and a half in the day is like pretty interesting, and then after that, nope, I'm doing freaking nothing. Or like, yeah, I'm doing discrete math, which is like, I don't even think it's that valuable of a program because it seems like with computer programming, you don't even use math that much. Unless you're working with physics. It's like, yeah, programming is more problem solving. It's not really like math. More like problem solving. Like you should teach that as like if you want them to go in a certain thought process, right? Like you want to give them the thought process of coding, like what they need to program and program good. Like, yeah, you teach them problem solving skills. You don't teach them freaking these like random math formulas that they're probably not going to use. Like, dude, we spent so long on figuring out like, oh yeah, we'll find out the best strategy to win this game, right? Which like I think they wanted you to do that so you know how to code it, but it's just like, dude, we spent like 2 months on it, on just like how to learn the best strategies on how to win games. Like I don't think that's not helpful for programming. Like I guess it's like a little bit of critical thinking, a little bit of problem solving, but it's like I think there's way better ways to go about it. I guess they just wanted a quote unquote math class to go with programming. But it's just like, yeah, no, it just doesn't work. Yeah. That freaking class is such a slog. I mean, I think it's also the people who are in it too that like makes it a slog as well. But dude, it's such a freaking slog. Like if I didn't have that class, I think I would just be like, I mean, I still have the sentiment of like I don't need to be there, but like at least still I don't think would mind it as much. But it's like I have to take that class for a whole year, and like that class makes me lose my mind. So yeah. Like that's probably the main thing I'm looking forward to when the school year's done is I don't have to deal with that anymore. Honestly, just like with most people in my grade, because I do not like them. I don't like most people in my grade. So it'd be nice not to have to deal with those people. Yeah. Okay, I was gonna make a video on the freaking like thing I said at the beginning, but I'm realizing, oh yeah, I have to go to school tomorrow, so I probably won't be able to edit it together. Honestly, it'll probably just be like subtitles or like maybe like graphs to emphasize my point. I might do if Iwasan does it though, or like his editor does it, where it shows like the article headline for the like proof and stuff. Yeah. The yeah, I might end stream. So I think I'm done with Red Shadow and Top Out. And like I don't want to like extend the 30 minutes if like I got nothing. I think also though it gives me like a little bit of free time. Yeah, maybe I'll actually stream something later. Yeah. It's like Japanese is gonna be so hard to learn and practice because like there's so many people who speak like Japanese. I think is a language that's typically spoken faster than English, so it's gonna be so hard to pick up on it. I do think though, I saw someone being like, "Oh yeah, I think it's good to learn a language up to like middle school level and then use application," which I think is probably like, yeah, that is true and was the best way to learn a language. Is you get the basics right, and then you apply it from there. It's just like, yeah, it talks so fast, dude. It's like, I feel like it's gonna be hard to catch what they're saying. Other than Kanade, I saw someone be like, Kanade is like the best one to learn because she speaks every sentence she says is finished in 3 to 4 business days. Or like something like that. Like, yeah, if I want to learn, then like I'd probably start with Kanade. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do Duolingo stream yet, though. I should probably do another Hitman stream. Something, or just like a stream where I play a game. You know, something like that. That'd be nice. Yeah, I think I'll get out of here. I really got nothing else. Yeah. It's like the one time when I actually say like I think I'm done and I'm actually finishing. It's a rare sight. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow actually, because tomorrow's Wednesday. Yeah, I mean my days all thrown off. Maybe next week I'll get back on schedule, but this week I'll probably have my days all thrown off. I feel a burp coming on. Nope, I think it passed. Never mind. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow then for something potentially. Oh, actually, maybe not. I just realized what I have actually, so I might not stream Wednesday. I might stream Friday. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because I have to go to something that probably won't be done until probably like at 7:30, and I probably just want to like have free time. Is like It's literally like from when the school day ends to like 7:30. So like I will have no free time before that. So yeah, I probably won't stream tomorrow. I'll probably stream Friday then. But yeah, I did not realize how little I've streamed these past few weeks until I looked at like that Hololive quiz I was making is like my 5th most recent like stream still. I'm like, wow, I did not stream like at all. I've missed so many days. And tomorrow's gonna be one more. Yeah, see you Friday then for something. Goodbye.